If there is a more challenging level in Defense Grid than Service Interruption, then I haven't played it yet. Part of the Resurgence pack that comes with Defense Grid Gold on OnLive, which is what we're watching. You can also get Defense Grid on Steam and PC. The designers of Defense Grid have gone to great lengths to make sure that you spend a lot of time in this level building up your forces only to lose on the last one or two waves. And that's what we're going to be preparing for the entire game here, as I'll walk you through Service Interruption and review the awkward level design at the same time. Note that there's very few places to position your defenses. Most of the levels in Defense Grid give you an opportunity to surround your enemies with cannons and use temporal slowdown devices and just pound them to death in what I call kill zones, which consist of upgraded towers pounding enemies with crossfire. You don't have that luxury in Service Interruption. Also, there's really no way to slow down the enemies when they're pouring onto the screen, so they're almost always going to make off with your cores. So unlike most of the levels, we are not going to fight this war at the beginning. We're going to fight Service Interruption at the end. And by that I mean the end of the level. They can have the cores. They're just not going anywhere with them. And this level will also entertain you with one of the best endings of any Defense Grid CGR Macro review. So make sure you watch the end of part 2, because the last wave is awesome. So to start off, I'm just laying out my positions. I like one meteor device to start with to pick off enemies all over the place and earn some of the initial resource bucks to build towers. The team here passed along some challenges that people submitted in the comments fields of other CGR Macro reviews of Defense Grid levels, wondering if I could get a gold medal in Service Interruption. Well, I can. It took 30 or 40 tries, but I did it. And in kind of a cheap way, but it's the gold medal that counts. As you may have noticed, I'm building Tesla devices. A lot of them. Because the hardest part of Service Interruption is the mass quantities of small, fast-moving enemies. Cannons and machine guns, which I normally rely on, are not the best weapons to use in this level. Teslas and one fully upgraded concussion device are what you'll want to get through Service Interruption. You also need one missile launcher upgraded to level 2, which will take care of all of the air enemies. There's really not a very powerful air attack in Service Interruption. The beginning may look a bit sloppy here. I had to use one laser blast. But it's not the beginning I'm worried about. It's the ending, and I need these Teslas, a temporal device, and a concussion device to lay out my plan of attack against the alien scumbags. I played this level a lot, like I said, 30 or 40 times to try to figure this out and kind of memorized the enemy attack patterns. But one thing I was doing wrong from the beginning was trying to protect the cores, which is what you normally do in Defense Grid. You put a whole bunch of guns around the cores, and when the enemies circle around, you just blow them up. Well, that just doesn't work in this level, because the fast-moving enemies come in, pick up a core, get blown up, and then some other enemy just swoops off with it, and you're screwed. So just ignore the cores. I'm leaving a few guns early on in the level, or near the beginning of the level, to use as agitators and just sort of pick away at the enemies, but most of my defenses are going to go right in the middle and at the end.
Right now, power is running low.
This is one of the few times that you'll ever see me use a concussion tower in Defense Grid, which is kind of a hidden weapon. It's completely useless unless you power it up to level 3, and that actually makes it one of the most expensive weapons in the game. And there's a reason it's that expensive, because when it's that powerful, it's effective at wiping out huge quantities of enemies. But not the big ones. You still want cannons to take down the big, slow enemies.
Now ready to fire.
I just upgraded the concussion tower on the bottom left to level 2, and you can probably tell where I'm going with this. I have a temporal device in there, which I'm also going to upgrade to level 3. And slow down enemies blast them with the concussion tower and 4 Teslas, as well as a meteor and several cannons. There's also a command tower in there because I don't like hidden enemies. When Tesla towers are upgraded, they're extremely powerful and arc their electricity through enemies, which also makes them nice for the smaller bad guys. Up to this point, it may look fairly easy. Like, you're gonna win this level with no problem. Aha! No. It's right about here that Service Interruption will start testing you. And note that I have done very little to slow down or stop enemies when they are entering the level. I think that's key, because you don't earn a lot of resources early on in Service Interruption, so you have to be careful with where you position your towers and what you upgrade. Don't try too hard to slow the enemies down when they're coming onto the screen. Just don't worry about it. Get them at the end. And I'll see you back here in part 2 of this CGR Macro review, as we will gold medal Service Interruption together.
They've taken one of our